I'm Brianna Trachtenberg here with Quinnipiac Acrobatics and Tumbling head coach Marianne Powers. Marianne, on January 16th, acrobatics and tumbling was voted to become an NCAA championship sport. Just what were your initial thoughts when you found out the news?
Honestly, I was elated. I think any of us who had been on this journey from 2009 and forwards know that we were on an obstacle course and we just kept on checking boxes. So for me, it was kind of cool that it was a beginning of something new, but also an ending of something that we persevered on.
And now the sport started with just 5 schools and the rules written out on an airplane napkin. 16 years later, here we are, being one of the founding coaches. Just how much does it mean to you to see the sport reach this level?
Well, I think the pride extends both to the NCAA and our executive team, as well as to Quinnipiac as one of the 5 founders. I think we have to understand that they didn't have to stay the course, but they chose to. And I think the other really cool thing is that we have to recognize all the things that makes this sport really unique. And one of them is that a lot of the women who are participating as student athletes are moving on to coach. And so I don't think our growth would have been as large if those kids didn't stay in the sport at some level.
And now just kind of describe some of the work that went into making it a championship sport throughout the years.
Well, I might be talking a little bit of Greek to everybody here, but we had to decide start values. I mean, we married competitive cheer with acrobatic and artistic gymnastics. And so we also knew that where the flaws were existing in a scoring system, and we had to try to get that scoring system right. And what that really did was, in my opinion, it brought safety to the sport. For the first time, the kids who came from competitive cheer were getting execution deductions on what goes up must come down. So we had to attribute start values to every skill that there was. I'm proud to say that 2 of Quinnipiac's coaches that are no longer with us, and I just say to them up above, thank you for all of your work, you guys. They worked really hard on the scoring along with the coaches from Oregon and Maryland and Fairmont and Azusa Pacific, Colleen. She's no longer with us, but there was really, we met several times a week. We met twice a year. We went to a summit and we worked hard on getting start values done, deduction tables done. How were we going to format it out so we were just competing for 2.5 minutes and hence the sport was born.
That's awesome. And now, what would you say was the biggest obstacle over the years?
Well, I think if you know, you know. So some of the obstacles were a competing model. But here's the real cool thing, and this is what happened after the NCAA announced it, was people who do know were texting myself and Felicia Mulkey and Christy Kiefer, the original founders team, and they were saying, I hope you guys know you created 2 sports. And that's what I'm going to say, that we opened up and expanded. Because of us, another sport started. That's
great. And I know Quinnipiac is a very close-knit program. What were some of the current team members' reactions and some of the alumni's reactions when they found out the news?
You know, my phone blew up, and the phones of my assistant coaches who have been student athletes here prior, they blew up, and there was just celebrations going on depending on what year they graduated. I think you've been at our meets, and so I think I can, and Billy Mecca tells me all the time that I have a load of alumni coming back year to year. They've waited for this moment, you know, for a long, long time, and so for them it was, we're waiting to celebrate on a big Zoom call in the upcoming weeks.
It's very exciting, different, overwhelming amount of support. Now, I know over the last few years we've talked about getting to this moment. Now that it's here, where does the sport go next?
I guess where the NCAA tells us to go, right? and then how we decide to follow suit. I'm sure they're going to be looking for our guidance, and we'll be looking for theirs. I'm just excited that we're going to have an expanded playing field, and that we're going to stay within divisions, and that my executive director actually took us here. She had to work really long, hard hours to make that happen, and I'm pretty proud of all of us.
That's awesome. I know Acro has opened up a new path for many collegiate athletes, a lot of girls going from gymnastics now to Acro. With the sport at championship status, how do you think it will continue to open new doors for athletes?
Well, I think when you get a validation stamp, you know, for me, I love the people that didn't need the validation. I love the people that took the leap of faith in a sport that is about defying gravity and said, we're with you guys, we understand it, we get it, we're going, let's go. But I think now with that validation stamp, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't grow exponentially with the decision. It's a sport that is fan-friendly. It is a sport that is budget-friendly. It is a sport that has a large roster indeed, and it helps with lots of things for schools that are on expansion. I just think it's a no-brainer to take it and to make the best of it on your campus.
Definitely. And like you mentioned, you've seen a lot of past Quinnipiac Acro athletes become coaches. How, especially now with your assistant coaches with Nicolette Tianga and Tiffany Ziba, how has the community in the Acro world grown over the years?
Well, that was to my original thing. I think for me that's been the best part, is to watch my student athletes move on to become coaches. And they thought they were going into a profession like, Tiff was going to go into police work. Cameron Diaz was going to go into the medical field. It gave them a different journey if they wanted to take it, and they're passionate student athletes for doing those skills. They got to take that passion and give it back to the university and the student athletes who played for us. So it was very personal, but yet it wasn't just happening at Quinnipiac, it was happening at all those schools, and that was the cool part of how we just continued to grow.
Do you feel a sense of pride when you see some of your former athletes out there helping keep the program going?
There's nothing quite like it. I don't know how to say that. It's humbling. It's a very humbling situation.
Very nice. And just looking at the season, with the start of the new season just a few weeks away, what has the team kind of been doing to prepare for this upcoming year?
Well, our sport is, it says it on our hats, perfect 10, but there's no such thing as perfect. So I like to think that we're coaching them and growing them to the best of what we can put out there. And we're trying to get our start values down, but with great execution and with safety at hand all the time, and with making sure that these kids are having a great, genuine experience.
That's awesome. And what are you looking forward to most for this upcoming season?
We have a long season. We're like, just two other sports on this campus. We go 145 days, and honestly, just let's go. Like, you can just practice so much before you want to bite into something and take a bite and go. So I think we're ready just to get out and compete.
That is all the time that we have. Thank you again, Mary Ann, for joining us.